Your heart just stopped. 1 second, it was beating and keeping you alive. The next, nothing. And in that tiny gap between one heartbeat and the next, something extraordinary begins. That is second 0. But what happens in the 60 seconds that follow is far stranger than most people realize, and science is only beginning to uncover it. Because here is the unsettling part. The moment your body dies may be one of the most active moments your brain has ever experienced. So let's go back to the beginning. The first thing that happens when your heart stops is surprisingly simple. Nothing. At least nothing you can actually feel. Your blood pressure crashes to 0. Just moments ago, nearly 5 liters of blood were moving through your body. Now, without a pump, it suddenly stops. No pump means no flow. No flow means no delivery. But here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't realize the supply has been cut off. Not yet. For roughly the first 10 seconds, your brain keeps going, powered by the oxygen still trapped in the blood already inside you. Your neurons are still firing. Your thoughts are still forming. For those few seconds, you are, technically, still you. But that tiny window is closing fast, and around the 10-second mark, something changes. Your brain uses about 20% of all the oxygen your body needs. Now, for the first time, it begins to realize that the deliveries have stopped. The cerebral cortex, the part responsible for conscious thought, starts shutting down. This is the moment when most people lose consciousness. Your eyes stop processing what they see. Your ears stop registering what they hear. From the outside, you appear completely gone. But inside, something very different may be happening. Then, in 2023, neuroscientist Jimo Borgigian published research that challenged the way we thought about what happens when the brain is dying. Her team monitored 4 comatose patients as life support was withdrawn. They expected the brain's activity to slowly fade away. But that's not what they saw. In 2 of those patients, the brain suddenly surged with activity. A powerful burst of gamma activity swept across the brain, an electrical spike far more dramatic than anyone expected. Gamma waves are associated with consciousness, heightened awareness, memory retrieval, and even dreaming. And suddenly, all 4 ideas became part of the mystery. And this wasn't random electrical noise. The activity was organized. It was concentrated in a brain region connected to visual processing and experiences people often describe as leaving their bodies. Borgigan's reaction to what she saw was remarkably simple. The surge was, in her words, crazy high. And that's where science collides with something much harder to explain. For decades, people who survived death have described experiences that sound strangely similar. They talk about brilliant lights, they describe floating above their own bodies, and many remember a sense of peace so deep that words barely seem enough. Then comes the life review. Most people imagine the biggest moments of their lives flashing past them like a movie. But survivors often tell a different story. They don't remember only the big moments. They remember the tiny ones, the moments they thought nobody noticed. Riding a bike as a child, sitting at a desk on an ordinary Tuesday, seeing a white cat sitting on a staircase. And that last memory isn't just a story. One young man described a white cat on a staircase he had no reason to remember. He told his mother what he remembered about the building and the staircase, and her reaction was immediate. She knew exactly what he was describing. They had lived there when he was just 14 months old, and the neighbor really did have a white cat. That leaves neuroscience with a question it still can't answer. Could every memory you've ever made somehow remain stored inside you? Could a dying brain somehow unlock that entire hidden archive? The honest answer is simple. We still don't know.
But the brainwave data points to something important. This may be more than a brain simply switching off. While the brain may be lighting up, the rest of the body is beginning to shut down. By around 30 seconds, your blood is no longer delivering oxygen to the body. The supply line has effectively stopped. Your roughly 37 trillion cells begin to notice, and they switch from normal energy production into emergency mode. That backup system can still produce energy, but it comes with a cost. It creates lactic acid, and that acid starts building rapidly. Your muscles are no longer receiving the signals that control them. Slowly, they begin to completely relax. Your jaw falls open. Your eyelids loosen. And if you were standing when it happened, by now, you've already fallen. Your pupils widen and become fixed. The muscles that normally control them have simply gone slack. Your eyes are still there, still intact, but now they're just lenses with no one behind them. Or are they? And this is where Dr. Sam Parnia's research becomes especially important. For more than 2 decades, he's been studying one of the biggest mysteries in medicine: consciousness during cardiac arrest. His AWARE studies followed hundreds of cardiac arrest patients across 25 hospitals, searching for clues about what the mind may experience when the heart stops. In AWARE 2, roughly 40% of survivors reported some form of conscious perception while they were clinically dead. About 20% described what researchers call a recalled experience of death, structured thoughts, memories, and a sense of awareness. And around 3% reported something even more striking: full visual and auditory awareness. They said they could see, they could hear. And according to those reports, this happened while their hearts had stopped beating, and the people around them saw no visible brain activity. But another strange pattern keeps appearing. Many survivors say they weren't alone. They describe seeing someone they loved, a parent, a grandparent, someone who seemed to be waiting for them. Some say they were told, "It isn't your time." Others describe being guided towards somewhere they couldn't explain. Is the brain creating one final, comforting hallucination? Or is something else happening? Science still doesn't have an answer. But the data does seem to tell us something important. For many people, dying doesn't appear to be painful. It isn't necessarily dark. It isn't necessarily empty. By many accounts, the experience is surprisingly peaceful. Now, back to the body. Around the 60-second mark, cellular damage is becoming serious, but it still hasn't reached the point of being permanent. This is the critical window. The door is still open. Resuscitation is still possible. If CPR begins now, or a defibrillator restores the heart's rhythm, there may still be a chance to reverse what just happened. Brain cells can survive without oxygen for roughly 4 to 6 minutes before permanent damage begins. That makes every second matter. At 1 minute, you're in a strange biological limbo, not alive in the traditional sense, but not irreversibly gone either. Your body temperature has barely changed. Your skin is only beginning to lose its color. From the outside, remarkably little may have changed. But inside your cells, the first cracks are appearing. Cell membranes begin to weaken, and enzymes start leaking where they shouldn't. This is the beginning of autolysis, self-digestion. Your own cells are starting to break themselves down from the inside. But it has only just begun. At 1 minute, most of your cells are still intact, still whole, still waiting. Waiting for what? There are 2 possible answers, and somehow both can be true. The medical answer is oxygen. Restore blood flow within minutes, and many cells can still recover. That's why people come back from cardiac arrest every day in hospitals around the world. But there's another possibility. If no one comes, no CPR, no defibrillator, no medical intervention, this minute could be your last. But there's another possibility. If no one comes, no CPR, no defibrillator, no medical intervention, this minute could be your last. Every second you have is a second someone else has already lost. And when people come back, they rarely ask for more money, more status, or more things. They ask for something much simpler: more time with the people they love. More time inside the ordinary moments they once thought didn't matter. Because the moments that feel insignificant may be the moments your brain remembers most. The ordinary Tuesday afternoon you assumed nobody was recording.